Good morning, everybody. I'm going to continue the exposition by Venice Port Authority in explaining and showing the activities done in the Poseidon Med project, activity number 7, on Northern Adriatic ports, LNG outlook in Northern Adriatic ports. Two main actions were planned: a local assessment of LNG in each port, and an overall assessment on possible development of LNG in Adriatic, in the whole North Adriatic area. The ports that have been considered are Venice Port, Trieste, and Koper from Slovenia, Rijeka from Croatia. The local assessment, the aims of the local assessment in each port were mainly to understand the characteristics of the demand in each local context, highlighting the possible effects on the activities of the port authorities in the North Adriatic. And this issue is very important since demand is not only inside one port. Demand is mainly outside the port, but the port could play a very important role in developing the needed infrastructures. And so other aims are to provide an overview of existing structures, plans, and rules concerning the development of LNG, and to analyze possible alternative solutions. And after these preliminary screening, to outline a strategy for LNG supply chain development. The overall assessment on all the ports in the North Adriatic area is a final analysis which synthesizes the outcomes of each study, and it aims to define a common and shared strategy for all North Adriatic ports. This is really an ambitious task to agree on each other, because what is needed? It's needed a common language. Unfortunately, the new directive on alternative fuels provided a common language, because there are definitions of what is LNG infrastructures. For example, infrastructures are also vessels, LNG vessels. We need a common analysis framework. We need an organizational process which requires a sharing of documents, involvement on comments, meetings, and most of all, we need to overcome local perspectives under a broader perspective. Even if the task was ambitious, the benefits of LNG are huge. Mainly are common benefits. They are well known, but some are not so much known. I highlight especially the environmental benefits are so huge that they could be translated into monetary values through external cost evaluations, and they could be really huge, because there is not only air emission reduction effects, but also noise reduction, no marine oil pollution, and all these means lower cost to society. But most of all, some of the benefits are specific on ports. The most interesting factor of LNG is that it acts on competitiveness. So it acts as an attraction. It could attract additional traffic on Northern Adriatic ports in the context of European North-South port competition. This is valid also for Greek ports or Mediterranean ports. In order to provide comparable local studies and to assure the integration, in the second stage, we have developed a table of contents that have been adopted by all NAPA ports for the development of local assessment. So the working process, each NAPA port has developed its study for a preliminary assessment of LNG use and supply in its local context. The Venice Port Authority collected each study and drafted a first draft summary report. Local studies and the draft summary report have been presented and discussed in a meeting in Trieste. And the Trieste meeting was occasion for gathering additional information and for advancing common proposals for LNG development in all NAPA ports. So we are in the final stage. The final version of the report is nearly to be completed. What we can show now is some results. This is the provisional table of contents. Some main results in terms, this is the demand analysis results for all NAPA ports. Overall, we can speak about nearly 1 million ton LNG at year 2030. This is 2030 because this is the perspective we should adopt in developing the necessary infrastructures. These values are differently distributed between the ports because in the case of Venice, candidates to develop an infrastructure which could distribute LNG not only for maritime use, but also for road transport uses. And the amount of demand which is expected in an intermediate scenario is about 800,000 tons LNG. Just a part of these are for maritime use. The most of them are for road transport use. In the case of Rijeka port, the demand is lower, and also in the other cases the demand is expected to be lower. Also because these ports, the other Trieste, Koper and Rijeka, do not candidate to develop a big storage plant. In terms of infrastructures needed, only Venice planned to build a large primary storage plant. Rijeka plans a small intermediary storage plant in order to satisfy demand mostly for maritime and local road transport use. Trieste developed many hypotheses, and among them there is also the possibility to build a small intermediary storage tank. In the case of Koper, for the moment, they don't plan any LNG storage, and the options that are under consideration is to build a mobile storage area in the port, or to build a storage area outside the port of Koper, due to the fact that present planning do not allow for such a facility. This is a summary of all the types of infrastructures that have been analyzed in NAPA ports. I'm not going through it, just to show that the study allowed each port to analyze a lot of different options, and each option is related to a specific use of LNG or a specific role in the supply chain. So by concluding, the Poseidon Med project allowed NAPA ports to analyze the market potential for LNG. Most of all, which are the main driving forces influencing demand. And one of the points is to analyze demand in the present day context of oil and gas prices. And the result for the moment is that not only oil prices fall down, but also gas prices fall down. So the relative LNG price, relative to oil price is quite good also for the moment. And if we project these values in the long term, there are very good potential for there is a very good potential for LNG market diffusion. The project allowed also to analyze and select the various infrastructural options all along the single phases of the LNG supply chain. And most of all, we are now in the phase of developing a common set of policy recommendations for the follow-up phases for an harmonized LNG supply development in neighbor ports. Thank you for the attention.